Fire in the hole now. 7 o'clock, we'll call a special work session meeting of July 16, 2018 to order. We do have a quorum, public forum. Individuals may address the city council about items on the agenda or not included on the agenda. Speakers are required to state their name and address for council records. Limit the remarks to 3 minutes or less. Speakers are requested to frame their comments around items that fall within the authority of the city council. Generally, the city council will not take official action on items discussed at this time, but may place the item on file, take the matter under advisement, refer the matter to staff or committee for future report, or direct the matter to be placed on an upcoming agenda. Anyone wish to speak? Bill, this will be your time.
Okay, my name is Bill Shark, live at 102 14th Street Southwest. I've been in front of you guys before. I've talked to the city engineer and stuff, and I still haven't gotten an answer about when the city is going to come and fix the problem that they created. What I am talking about is when we were in Pike Creek Township, we didn't have very much problem with water drainage or everything. I mean, even the flood wasn't as bad as what's been in my yard here last, you know. The problem is the city come in and they moved 2 culverts, okay? What they did was they took the culvert that's on the low side and they moved it up to a high side. Then the other one they took and they moved to like the middle of the street, and there's never been any water running through that culvert at all. I mean, that totally worthless. I mean, the way the city has it now, that culvert that they put in, water starts draining out of there, and I still got over 10,000 gallons of water in my yard. I mean, I shouldn't have to pump my yard just so I can cut my grass, right?
Bill, what's your address again?
Pardon?
What's your address again? Your
102?
address again? I'm sorry, I didn't get it.
My address, 102 14th Street Southwest.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I don't know, you can't get into to show it or anything, huh?
I don't have it up right now.
Yeah. But one of the amounts is they took the culverts that were on the corners and they moved them to the high spots. I kind of know, you know, whose brainstorm it was. I ain't gonna mention any names, but anyway, come and fix it.
I'll take a look at it. I'll come over and see it, Bill. I want to see what you're talking about, and then we don't discuss it at these meetings, but I'll take a look at it, and then we'll have a conversation.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time tonight, and you all have a great evening.
All right.
Robin Hensel, 807 First Street Southeast. I'm here to present 2 petitions. The first has 7 signatures. It reads, "We, the undersigned residents of the city of Little Falls, Morrison County, Minnesota, respectfully petition the council to leave our alley, trees, shrubbery, curve as is, to accomplish in the future what Carl Wagner stated in 2006. Quote, we curve the alley so the public would be deterred from cutting through, and we have landscaped the curve with trees which will eventually block the visual side of the alley. Part of the, unquote, part of the current conditional use findings of fact state the expansion is not injurious to the neighborhood or city. It also states the expansion is not an intensification of the existing use. In 2006, between then and 2008, the city paid half, so taxpayers paid half, and the hospital paid half to reconstruct and rebuild that alley because the construction crews ruined the alley. So taxpayer money is invested already in repaving that alley. It would be a waste of taxpayer money to redo it again to straighten it out as the hospital is requesting with their conditional use. Plus, we neighbors don't want that. As you heard in the public meeting, the planning people that are here tonight. The second petition states, we the undersigned residents of the city of Little Falls, Morrison County, Minnesota, respectfully petition the council to require a full economic and environmental impact study be conducted before the modification of the existing CUP is presented or passed to determine any harmful effects to the neighborhood, homeowners, or renters. In the findings of fact of the existing CUP, it states the expansion is not injurious to the neighborhood or the city, and the expansion is not an intensification of the existing use. I'd like to present these tonight. Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak? Hearing none, discussion of the bills? Any questions on the bills? Questions on the consent? On the consent or on the bills?
Consent.
Anything?
Sorry, no, it's on a resolution.
Okay. Council information items, local option sales tax update, John?
We've completed both of our public input gathering sessions, with the last being last Tuesday on the 10th. The first meeting, for those that weren't in attendance, a lot of positive feedback from residents in town, many of which are associated with the school district. They were very much in. I think the common theme in their proposal was towards a community recreational complex with gym space. Field house has been used as a term for a facility, but it's really not what I think what we've been talking about or proposing. The only reason, or I think the reason that they're getting combined is because that a field house was what the school had been proposing in the referendum question. And then the discussion came up at that first meeting that they would be interested in a shared partnership as long as, there was gym space there to help expand for the school, some gym space. So they would be, willing to go and partnering up with us in an operational facility that had gym space. I think for us, it would be more than just gyms, athletic facility. It would be a community center. There would be, meeting room spaces. Potentially other types of recreational space could be incorporated into this facility. A couple examples of places that I've one for sure that I've been to is Redwood Falls. They have a community recreational center there that is in a city school partnership as well, where they have meeting area as well as recreational athletic space within the facilities. And they are in adjacent parcels to one another to their high school in that community. The other meeting was, I would call, a mixed reception for those that couldn't attend that one. A lot of questions about more specifics into the project when they're reminded that this is for informational gathering. Some of the input there was maybe start with a smaller project. There was some support for a BMX park, skate park type facility, as well as also again some more support for potentially a community recreational complex as well. There was also a lot of opposition to any sort of tax or any sort of project whatsoever from some of those in attendance. Now, granted, that's not a full representation of the city. There were only 2 meetings, covered a pretty short span. I think where we stand today, we would need to have the resolution for the ballot question approved by the first meeting in August in order to make sure that it was on the ballot for the general election. We wouldn't need to have specific details, specific plan specs, drawings, exact numbers in terms of prices established by the August meeting. We would be working towards a lot of that before the election so that we would, be able to publish our facts about the impact of the project by that election date. We took, in terms of a community recreational complex and our capacity for sales tax, we're probably going to use the full max of our capacity for a 20-year implementation of the tax for that. So it's likely that we would be moving forward with that amount in that time frame, and then trying to find another potential resource, or at least getting our project costs really in line with what that potential revenue generation could be for us. But right now, I'm open to direction. I mean, I think we can certainly pull together a lot more information on specific projects or specific single project or projects, if that's the direction that we want to go before that August meeting. Otherwise, I can certainly understand if there's some feeling that this is feeling rushed. This is, we don't have enough to go on to really support the full ballot measure. If we wanted to hold on for a couple of years, I think that would be certainly understandable.
If we did now, it would be 2 years down the road.
And it has to be at a part of a general election, so we don't have a general election. Typically not 2 years.
Mr. President?
Yeah.
Although we did start some discussions on this, it seems like a year and a half ago, for sure a year ago, we kind of got behind the 8 ball a little bit. I think it's late in the game, and we had meetings back to back, and we did have the greatest attendance. And I still believe 100% in local option sales tax, but I would think the worst thing that could happen is that we don't get enough information out to make it successful. So I'm leaning personally at this time towards putting it off for 2 years, getting more from the residents, get them more involved, more active, more information out there, because there's so much bad information out there about it. I don't think people really understand it, and to try to, I think it still would be close and might pass, but I just don't think that we'd be doing our due diligence and being as fair to the residents as we could. And I'm wholeheartedly in favor of going forward, but I just think even though I think we could get all the paperwork and everything in, I just think that a little more communication, education, and discussion with our residents is needed. That's all.
My feeling on it is, we tried this back a few years ago and it almost passed. And I received the same information from the public this time around as last time around. And I don't think we're going to gain that much more in 2 years for what they want. We've been hearing that they've wanted a community center for years, that they wanted a splash pad, that they wanted a skate park and a few other things. And I think the community is well aware of what we're trying to attempt. And we do have time to inform them correctly of what we are trying to do and what the sales tax really is and how it does benefit communities. I feel we should probably put it on. Otherwise, we put it off 2 more years. If it would have passed a few years back, we'd have over $1 million towards it. If we wait a few more years, we're losing out on another $1 million that could build something for the community, for the young people and all people in the community. I'm for doing it now. I just feel it's a good time, and Little Falls, a lot of people say we do a lot of talk, but we don't do a lot of action, and I would like to see a little action right now.
So John, you honestly feel we could have a proposal put together?
I believe so. I think there's enough similarly style projects that are out there that we could draw enough comparison for and reasonable expectations and high level cost estimates for a facility like that. Generally those those typical construction costs for, you know, different style facilities, you know, they have pretty fair averages that, you know, create a decent estimate. It's the ancillary things of location and other, you know, other factors that would go into the site, in terms of those costs are not, you know, that's something I think we'd have a hard time determining, before in this short period of time, but just pure construction of the facility costs, I think we can get some pretty fair estimates pretty quickly. Certainly to have prepared by, at least have a general idea by August, and then have, you know, more firm numbers shortly after that, so that we'd have the facts available for people, for the question.
Jen?
Yes?
Question also, so this proposal that you would put together would be for a sports complex?
That-
It wouldn't include a skate park, it wouldn't include a splash pad, it wouldn't include.
I'm sorry,
Well, I understood you saying that this complex would take up the full 20 million. And there'd be nothing left in the smaller, 10 million, sorry, and nothing left in the smaller projects that we have to figure out.
no, I was envisioning it with multiple
Multiple
facets,
projects?
or, yeah, multiple projects.
So a splash pad, a skate park,
Yeah.
amphitheater,
Possible.
possibly,
Possibly.
well, right, so.
And that's the direction I think we would need as staff in the next 3 weeks before the next council meeting, is to, you know, which ones are we gonna vet and which ones shouldn't be? Are there 10 things, or 5 things, or 3 things?
I think we're in the same boat as we were last time. We waited till the last minute, tried to hurry up and stumble over our feet to get something proposed, and there we sat, and it didn't pass. So you try to push something through, and 2 months or 3 months, we got August 1st, and 3 months is election to promote it, to go through.
Last time, sorry, Mr. President, last time, the people who said they were gonna go out and publicize this and bring it to the community did not do so. One of the people that was in charge moved out of town. It never was pushed toward the community for understanding or anything. If we have the support of the community and community members to do this, let them go out and advertise and do all the work and see what kind of response we get from that. You need a strong group of people in the community to present this, because we're not going to do it as a council, because we're not supposed to.
But we can't, and from what we had show up at the meetings to go out and push something, you got 10 people, and 10 people are gonna run with this and promote it through the whole community?
According to what I saw at the first gathering, probably,
And that was all for,
basically a complex, yeah.
Yeah, so they're gonna promote a splash pad, a skate park, and everything else that,
There was a couple people who brought it up. There was one person who said he was a younger guy who lived in town. He said all his friends live in basically Brainerd and St. Cloud. And he asked why they live there. They said there just isn't what they need in this town for the young people, for raising families and stuff. And he said, but yet they live in this area. They live close to Little Falls because they like this area. If them people are willing to go out there and push it, then it'll probably succeed. If not, it's going to falter just like last time. You're right.
and he was one of the advocates for what they were calling the field house also.
Field house,
That was
but-
his number one priority, was the field house. And then afterwards, he spoke in favor of the
Splash pad
yeah.
and stuff. And I have heard recently there is a group of people, different people rearing up to get the splash pad thing going again.
then you gotta remember, we got O&E on 3 different projects going at one time, so.
Well, I think if we put it out there and they're willing to do the work and the community votes it in because they want it. You know, the biggest thing I've heard on this council, I've been here 10 years, is we don't have anything for people in this town, especially young people, and that's why they have to go elsewhere. We still don't have anything for people in this town, and our young people are still going elsewhere. We have to take a stand sooner or later and actually commit to get something done.
Right, but let's start with one project, not with a half a dozen.
I think something like this you need to start with. maybe maximum of 3 things. You know, we can't get everything in a matter of 10 years. You know, it's gonna take time like every other community. You know, you look at Bolus and you look at all these communities close to us who have a community center. It took them a while to get them, you know, and they push for it, and they all have them now. We're still sitting here without one. You know, there's a lot of communities our size, just about everyone has a big community center or splash pads, and that we still don't have them. Some of the smaller communities close to us, since we've discussed this, have gotten them, but it took them a little time.
3 things is a lot, and the other thing I would say is we had one meeting that the splash pad was gonna send representatives, they're gonna have this crowd come. We had one representative here. Then we had no representation, a very minimal representation here, not a groundswell. And then now I'm hearing, you know, I got a message from somebody saying, well, I've got this group of people. Well, I haven't seen them. And so here we are with 3 weeks to really get this all accomplished, and we're still not knowing. We know we've got a group of people for one thing. We had a couple of people here for the skate and bike BMX part, but other than that, what have we heard in our 2 meetings? And that's why I'm saying, what percentage of our population have we actually heard from? I'd love to see us do something, but I think they're asking us to minimize, and we're talking about doing 3 things. And whatever we do, plus if we do a recreation center, which you're right, Frank, I've been parts of those committees with you and everybody else, that they've been screaming for that for 25, 30 years at least, maybe longer. Somebody told me they've been talking about it since the 50s. Well, but anyway, the more we try to do, the less we're going to be able to do with that. So if that would be the project that the council would want to go forward with. So.
So like a skate park, could that be incorporated to an indoor skate park inside a convention style center with portable ramps and stuff like that?
Mr. President, that's what I was thinking too. Is there a way that we could utilize the community center and then make these other attachments part of it? You know, so you've got, if we're gonna go big, then let's do it. You know, if there's some way that we can get that complex and then also incorporate a splash pad and a BMX thing in that area, if that's what the community wants, and make it one big thing instead of having the community center here and then the splash park over here and the bike thing over here. Make it all one big area so that if people come there, they can do this or they can do that or they can do that. It gives more options for them.
Unfortunately, it costs just as much over here as it does over here.
Right.
Maybe manning it or staffing it would be easier that way because you can watch over it. I'm not against that if we have the dollars, but we've got 3 weeks to figure out if we can do a skate park, a splash pad, and a recreation center all together. And
Or we have 2 years and 3 weeks to think of that, because it would be a lot easier to go forward if there was a group or several groups of people that were saying we would really like that, and we'll help plan it, and we'll help organize it, and we'll help promote it to the public.
Frank, I thought you had a strong group that was a strong group for the splash park that last time, and then it kind of lost traction at the end, and it was fairly close. But I just, unfortunately, what have we been hearing? We've heard very little on anything but the recreation center.
Right.
And the last meeting, I got here late, but what I saw was that most of the people here were just flat out against any kind of project. They didn't want more taxes. You know, that was the majority of the people at the second meeting.
Yeah, that's like 4 people.
Yeah.
You know, does it make sense
True
to,
that. True that.
8,000 people in town, and you get 10 people, 15 people to show up at a meeting, it's hard to get a true perspective on what town feels like. You think if there'd be total opposition, there'd be a lot more people here totally against it. But
It would be total support, there would have been more
there'd
people
be
here
more-
too.
Right.
does it make sense to, if anyone's gonna support this thing, and if a group can get together and tell us for sure they're gonna go out and do the footwork, to get this going. If they can bring that all in by the next meeting, and we see strong support, we can make a decision upon that. If we don't see anything more than what we've seen so far, then at that meeting, we can just say, well, it looks like it's gonna be a couple of years down the road. You know, and
But how do you get estimates in 2 weeks? I mean, how do you get all the
It would-
information you need? Or would you just go to
yeah.
the community and say, hey, how much should this cost you, and base it on that?
I think he based it on a couple of things. I think he based it on similar built projects in a recent time period, or if it's, you know, outside of a few years, he had inflationary factors to it, and everyone knows construction costs are going up and will be going up. But generally, you can look at, you know, the average of that build nationally, you know, building a facility like that and figuring out what its general size is gonna be and basing construction estimates on it. That's typically what I've seen in terms of a construction of a facility like these, when they're basing that preliminary estimate. Now, when you get into the brass tacks and you're really gonna hone down an engineering estimate, you're gonna look at every component of that project, the building project.
If you're gonna go about doing that, I'd like to see some O&E too, because that's gonna be part of the budget then next, you know, within the next year or two.
Yeah.
As far as Justin or Levy to just do O&E on it.
Another question, the high school said that they were wanting to partner. Would they partner with the cost of it too, or just the operations of it?
I think they were discussing at least,
Yeah, I would envision that to be an operating partnership, not a construction partnership in terms of their available revenue or what they can budget towards that. They could budget it towards operating. I don't think they can budget towards capital.
so if we came back in 2 weeks, then we're down to a week. People would have to come back with, I think it's tough enough with.
Well, it's our next meeting, 3 weeks, so.
Yeah. So 3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah.
3 weeks for a miracle, huh?
Yeah, maybe. That's not.
Well, if word got out in the community that, you know, that this possibility is there, and if we had some figures that we could present to them that night, and if they know that it's either we do it if we have the support, or we don't, if we're going to wait for 2 years, you know, if the word got out, maybe, you know, John, if you had some financial stuff available for them to present that night to them, you know, maybe 3 weeks is enough.
What would
See
we
if
want?
we get the support.
That's the thing, we gotta determine what we want to plan out. It's up to us to pick and choose what we want to put on the ballot.
Right
The
now,
question's gotta be a resolution on the
Am I-
next Monday meeting.
Is it fair to say that I heard three rec center, splash pad, skate park, those three components to do more diligence on and getting some numbers around that?
You know, when we did the planning for the ARC area, them were 3 of the priority items right there. Another one was baseball fields, which the school themselves took care of. So,
So we want a special meeting in 2 weeks, or
Yeah.
on the 30th?
Oh, good.
If we're gonna have to determine what we're gonna do, and write a resolution to come up on the 6th, to be able to be voted on.
Well, I
We're
would,
not gonna be proposed and then adopt a resolution on the same night.
I would agree with you, Jeremy, because I think if we just have a meeting just specially for that, because I don't know if everybody wants 3, does everybody want the same? Does everybody want 1, 2? So to have it be a part of a meeting is difficult, trying to iron it out. I think if we set a time for a meeting,
Either next Monday or the following Monday.
before getting together, I think it's extremely important.